Right, standing, put the landing down, wasn't it, amen?
Right.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Salamanca City Central School District acknowledges the homeland of the Anandabaka, the people of the Great Hill, the Seneca people on whose ancestral and modern-day land Salamanca School District now stands and whose water we enjoy. We stand with all indigenous peoples in their resolve to remain connected to their land. While we cannot undo what has been done, it is the goal of the Salamanca City Central School District to recognize the history and make improvements that will benefit the next 7 generations of indigenous students. Thank you. Yes, there was one addition since it was published originally on Friday, which is 7.1, which is our school district assessment.
Then we need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Tad, second by Dale, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, abstained, motion carried. First up, we have our FY 24 audit presentation. We're moving on from one to the next fortnight. So take it away, Mary.
First, she'll need to.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Need some volume too.
Do you want me to share my screen or does everyone have the presentation in front of them?
Yeah, you'll need to share, Mary.
Okay,
Let me switch. She's gonna set you up on a different set of speakers. I'm making it hard to hear. Okay.
Can you say something? Mary, can you say something?
yes, can you hear me?
You just said something.
She's got my.
Yes,
Hold on.
okay. And you can see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yes, this is a presentation of the 2024 audit. So maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, my colleague Sarah Dayton met with the audit committee and went to detail the results of the audit and some of the numbers. So this will just be a brief overview of what was already discussed. So what we are delivering to you is the auditor's report on the financial statements. It's an unmodified opinion. It's the highest level that you can achieve from an audit. We also have our auditor's opinion on government auditing standards, which are required. And then also the auditor's report on your spending of federal funds. So because you spend more than $750,000 of federal funds every year, you're required to have what's called a single audit. So we also have a report on that. There were no matters to disclose for the audit in the auditor's report on government auditing standards. And we also had no matters or findings on our single audit. We did do an audit of your impact aid, which you had spent about $10.6 million, and that was about 77% of your total federal aid. We also have a report on the extra class activities, listing the clubs, the additions to each club and what the clubs have spent. And then I'll go into the communication for those charged with governance letter. This discloses any estimates that we have as part of the audit in the financial statements, including your estimates regarding your capital assets, your unearned revenue, which is your impact aid that you have received but haven't spent yet, and then your unavailable revenue, which is your Native American tuition and transportation aid, which again, you've received but you haven't spent. And then compensated absences, pensions, reserves, and other post-employment benefits. It also discloses the more important footnotes of the financial statements. If you were to be spending time, reading as you're reading through the financial statements, they would be the more important ones to pay attention to. There were no new audit accounting policies that had to be adopted this year, and any adjustments that were made were adjustments that we needed to make to to prepare the full accounting, the governmental accounting financial statements under GASB standards. Management letter, this is just our recommendations from the audit and updates of any recommendations we would have had in the prior year. Your fund balance does exceed 4%, which under state law, you're not supposed to have unassigned fund balance that is over 4% of the 2025 general fund budget expenditures. You are at 36%, so we have disclosed that. And then just an update on prior year recommendations. We had reconciliation differences in your capital assets. Management has worked very hard to resolve that problem, and it's very much improved. And we're just recommending that they keep reconciling periodically through the year to make sure that those lists and those items are updated. And then for your extra classroom activity clubs, the recommendation we have here, which was consistent with last year, is that the concession stand inventory be reconciled to the sales and reviewed. And then also a second person who's not involved with that process should review the inventory counts as well. Summary of funds. This is just a summary of your fund balance for all of your different funds for the year. General fund, you have restricted funds that are restricted by law and approved by the board. So you have the bigger increases here are in your capital reserve, where you funded an additional $5 million to be used towards your capital projects. And then in your committed funds, which are not under general municipal law or education law, but are approved by the board and as money you've put aside for specific reasons. There were some fluctuations there between, your capital outlay and your technology, some use of those funds. But again, this is all based on your board policy when it comes to reserves and to committed funds. The board has these policies that it recommits to every year. And so this is all based on those resolutions. And then again, we get down to the unassigned fund balance, which is, like I said, over 4% of your next year's budget. There was also a transfer from your general fund to your capital projects fund. So that was another reason for the decrease in that fund balance this year. And then your capital projects fund has a small deficit, but that's really just due to the timing of when revenue is recognized and when your expenditures happen. So as these projects wrap up, they will zero out, revenues will equal expenditures. General fund revenue. So state aid increased to about $30 million, almost $31 million. You saw an increase in foundation aid, which we had seen in other districts that we audit. And then for your federal aid, you could see that there was an increase in the federal aid you received. Some of that was the impact aid that was recorded as revenue because it was spent. But as I stated earlier, some of that is sitting on the balance sheet because you haven't spent it yet. So as those expenditures happen, you'll recognize that revenue. And similarly for Native American tuition and transportation, that number is lower than it was last year. And again, this is all based on when the revenue is received, when the cash is actually received, and when then it's recorded as revenue versus sitting on the balance sheet waiting to be spent. Overall, your revenues were $52 million, and they went up about 1%, pretty consistent to last year. And then for general fund expenditures, you can see your salaries. Part of the reason why your salaries increased here is that as your education stabilization fund money, that was the money that the federal government gave to municipalities and school districts as a result of COVID a few years ago. As that money is starting to dwindle and be spent as we run towards the end of that grant term, any money that had been spent in the special aid fund on salaries, those salaries are now being brought over into the general fund. So we're seeing an increase of payroll in the general fund based on just where those salaries are being recorded. In the prior year, there was more salaries recorded in the special aid fund. But you did have overall district salaries, an increase of about 6.8%. And also that also includes hiring of more people. You had about 10 more full-time people this year compared to last year. And then your health insurance and your retirement system contributions saw an increase in your retirement system, even though the TRS rate did decrease, having additional employees and increases in salaries, increases the contribution rate there. Health insurance, you did have a supplemental assessment that you had to pay towards your consortium, your health insurance consortium, about $600,000. So that increased your health insurance more than you would have normally seen that increase. And then debt service, you did have, payments obviously on your debt and your interest and principal payments, and then some increases in the BOCE services that you requested, mostly computer services, instruction, and career and tech. And there were also some increases in capital costs and special education. So overall, your expenditures increased about $8 million compared to last year. This is the government-wide reconciliation. When I mentioned earlier that we had adjustments that we had to make, it was to take the fund statements and make them this government-wide summary or reconciliation. So the big takeaways here is just to see the value of your capital assets year to year, and also your long-term liabilities, which includes your debt. So your capital assets did increase by about almost $15 million. You had spending on your capital projects, which increased your assets. And then also that was also offset by some depreciation. So as you keep working on these capital projects, you'll see those assets increasing. And then for long-term liabilities, you did issue a new band in 23-24. And then that was offset by the addition of that to your long-term liabilities was offset by about $1 million in principal payments. And this last page just basically summarizes the page prior to it. And that's it, unless anyone has any questions.
Have any questions for Mary?
For Mary or Karen, I guess. Back on the slide for general fund revenue, we see a huge decrease in Native American tuition and transportation aid. Can you explain why we see that decrease again?
So sure. So the Native American tuition and transportation aid, that is recorded as revenue. There's a couple pieces to it. One of it is it's recorded as revenue when it's received. So at the end of the year, you were still waiting for some Native American transportation aid from not only the 23-24 year, but also from the 22-23 year. So that's sitting up in the balance sheet waiting to be received from New York State. And then you also had some tuition money that you were waiting to receive from New York State. When those funds come in, they can be recorded as revenue. But because they have not under a fund basis, you don't record revenue unless it's going to be received within 90 days of your year end. So those funds wouldn't have been received in that time frame. So they can't be recorded as revenue yet. So you will get that money and you will record it as revenue. It's just more of a timing.
Okay,
And
so
then
next year, we'll actually look at this chart and see a huge increase.
hopefully, yes, hopefully they will pay those amounts, and they'll also pay the 24-25 amounts as well. My guess would be they will pay everything that they owe through 2024. And there probably will be some amounts that they owe for 24-25 at June 30th next year. That would be my guess.
So is this a similar situation we had a few years ago where New York State was way behind in paying us?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
They owe us for 22-23, 23-24, and now 24-25 for transportation. And then for 23-24, and now 24-25 for tuition.
But the actual amount that they're sending us, has that increased, decreased, or stayed the same?
It's actually gone down.
It has gone down?
Because of the COVID money that we had, we transferred some expenses over that. So that decreased our general fund money, which decreases the tuition.
Okay.
So they should inch back up.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions?
One more general fund expenditures, we see increases in everything from year to year except for debt service. I know why, but can you explain why debt service is decreased?
Yeah, we paid off, one of the, bonds that we had outstanding. So that was out, but then we issued a new one last year and we'll pay, majority of it down this year in December.
Anyone else?
All I have.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
All right,
Welcome.
thanks, everyone.
Presentation.
Thank
to
you.
All right, bye-bye.
We have our epic presentation, and we have Monica Richardson and Jeremy Bevan.
Evening.
Try to do this in a way so everyone's not looking at my bag. I don't know how. But it's good to see everyone again. I was here last year with Tara, just our executive director. My name is Monica Richardson. I am the director of family services for EPIC, Every Person Influences Children. Our primary office is located in Buffalo, New York, but we have a satellite location here at 79 River Street, where we provide a lot of the services and programs for their families in Salamanca and Cataract County. This is our new chief program officer. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Sharon Kavanaugh. I just started a new position, Chief Program Officer at Epic. I am located in the Buffalo office. Have a lot of experience working with not only school districts, but I formerly worked for OLB Human Services, which is a human services agency in Buffalo. We do a lot of work with youth, mental health, residential facilities, a lot of different areas. So I bring that experience to this program. And we're hoping that we can really meet the needs of the Salamanca School District. And hopefully provide services that are going to really help out your families and get them engaged.
We can go to the next slide. So just a really quick reminder of what family engagement is and why we're here, why the district has contracted with us. So family engagement is really just involving obviously families, the school, and the community to come together to make sure that we're doing everything possible to advance the lives and the educational journey of young people in this community. Research has shown tremendously that family engagement efforts in the community, the schools, and the families come together all the way through adulthood. There is positive impact on obviously educational success and wellness and overall health objectives. So we're all working together, and all of the young people hear a cohesive message and receive cohesive services, and other needs are met, then it just benefits from the top down. So that's why EPIC is here. It's a slow process. I don't know who's advancing the next slide, please. It's a slow process. It takes time, but definitely it's something that's significantly important. So we originally came here and we were contracted to do the family walkthrough, and we were able to see how the community views the school, how the staff view the school, what the needs are, what the overall feel and goal was. We did that in year one. In year two, we came up with a family assessment plan. So we decided that we were going to engage a family advisory committee to really look at what some of the goals and objectives that the community, the schools, and the staff all wanted, and how we could move forward to advance it. So it's one, I don't know how well you can see it, but one of the things that I like to point out on this slide is it's individualized. What works for one family is not going to work for every family. So it's our goal to make sure that we're getting as many voices as possible from the staff, from the teachers, from the schools, and from those parents and caregivers to really feel and see what it is that we can do that will impact the family in a meeting. Next slide. So we support our partners. So you guys are using impact. So we are definitely making sure that we want to have a positive impact on the families in the community here in Salamanca. So what our priorities were for the past school year, we can go to the next slide, were threefold. So the Family Engagement Advisory Committee. So we were given 34 individuals, which includes 2 of our EPIC staff who were part of this advisory committee. We did a broad invitation to give as many opportunities as possible for families to come and engage with the group. Of that, we roughly had about 14 individuals who would attend at the regular meeting. We were able to meet 4 times per year. And the committee looked at a lot of the different things that had come up in the family assessment to really come up with some strategies and objectives that will be the working plan for this school year. So we had 5 hybrid meetings, so we made sure that it was accessible, so we tried to eliminate any barriers to families. So because we really wanted to have parent voice here. So this slide is really just showing you a couple of things. So our family assessment really worked through the PTSA standards, and we identified 6 things that we wanted the district to focus on. So being welcoming, communicating effectively, supporting student success, speaking up for every child, sharing power, and collaborating with the community. So for the standards, we then identified goals. So the goal for communicating effectively was just making sure that we're looking at how we're exchanging information between the schools and the family. One of the things that came through that is we have the attendance magnets that you're using this year. Attendance is a huge priority for the school, so we're making sure that families are understanding how important attendance is. We also color coded. We didn't do it, the team did it. We color coding building information. So if parents have children in each of the 3 schools, then they can see which school that information is coming from. So is it coming from Prospect? Is it coming from the high school or the intermediate school? So making that communication easy and also using a lot of the social media strategies to ensure that families have access to that information in a way that's tangible. Next slide. Our second priority was professional development. So we originally worked with the school liaisons and we did a leadership academy. So there was a training that we did with the leadership team there. And then we also had a summer professional development program where it was open to any staff member that was able to register, and this is our attendance. So for the Leadership Academy, all of the 10 liaisons, in addition to 2 admin staff attended. And then we had 4 other professional development opportunities that we offered this summer. We had attendance from either 10 to 16 staff. Next slide. So our third priority was school attendance. So what could we do to support the district's efforts for school attendance? So we did a survey. The first survey, we gathered about 80 responses, which I think is phenomenal, to really send out a survey to families and school staff to get some feedback from them. And we did that survey again, just the beginning of September, and we were able to get 115 responses. So families are continuing to engage and share some of their ideas with us around why attendance matters. We started working with the attendance officers to ensure that we had communication with what the school is doing and how we can support the initiatives at the school. And then we shared a lot of recommendations for workshops and opportunities. In addition to the 3 priorities, we had family engagement activities. So when there were events at the school, we would support the building principals with some of the family engagement that the school was planning. We also hosted several family engagement workshops to ensure that parents had the tools that they needed at home to further support their young people. Next slide. So in terms of what we were able to deliver, 34 individual families reached out to our EPIC team to ask for some parenting support. So that's either through 1-hour workshops that we offer or either our evidence-based programs. And we know if you have a successful home life, then that transfers into what's happening with you during the day at school. So I think even though 34 is a small number, the fact that we're not located in the school building, we're off-site on River Street, but families were still actively calling us and reaching out. And I think that demonstrates that there's a need and we're able to fit that need, and we're just hoping that that number continues. Next slide, please. So for 24-25, we're still going to continue the work of the Family Engagement Committee. One of the primary things that we're going to do is try to engage more parents. That next meeting is going to be November 6th. This first meeting is really almost a parent-only meeting, really to just give parents an opportunity to feel safe, to make sure that their voices are heard, and give us an idea of what things they're looking for, both for their students as well as their involvement. We're going to continue offering professional development opportunities. The one thing that's different for us this year is a lot of times we would have a lot of contact with admin. We're really making sure the team has, access and entry into the building. to really sit down with the principals who really know their staff, find out what their needs are, hear what the parents might need, and to gather and tailor our workshops to what the actual building administrators are sharing. We're still going to continue to work on attendance. We have a few other school districts that we work with, and we know attendance is an issue across the country. So we have some schools that have, model attendance, and their programs have really started to develop. So we're going to bring some of those resources and make those connections so that your team can work with them. Programming, increased visibility in schools, so we will be able to offer some of our family engagement activities right in the school buildings as much as possible, as opposed to trying to draw families over to River Street, making sure that we have opportunities for families to engage in an easier way and as much as possible. And then continuing to work on attendance. We're going to do focus groups. We're going to have, and I'll show you in the next slide. I'm just getting over a cold, so forgive my voice going in and out. But I'll show you on the next slide. We're going to do workshops for families where they can come in and really discuss what the barriers are. What are some of the things that are giving them a hard time with getting their young people to school? Our family engagement manager, Laura, worked with the student leadership team last year, so she even surveyed some of the leaders from 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. We were trying to get the 7th and up, but we weren't able to, but we'll continue that this year. But the young people had some really creative ideas in terms of what could help make sure that their peers are in school. So we'll take all of that, bring that to the parents and have some conversations. And also sometimes parents just don't know that missing more than 3 days really can change, what the rest of your year looks like. So just providing that information for families. And next slide, I believe is covered in. Yes. So we have effective communication and potential barriers, which is a workshop that's coming up at the high school. It's also going to be on Zoom, so families can register or they can come in person or do it virtually. We have a caregiver cafe, which is like a support group. It's an opportunity for parents and caregivers to get together and sort of talk about the different needs and concerns that they might have and come up with some common solutions. We have Let's Talk About Attendance, which is one of the first workshops I was saying that we'll share the things that parents need to know. That they may already know, but just may need to hear it in a different way to make sure that the attendance is a goal that is achieved. And then again, November 6th is the first meeting for this year for the Family Advisory Committee. So forgive my voice, but thank you for the opportunity. We look forward to continuing to work with your families. And again, if there are any questions, I'm here.
Do you have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for the presentation. Next, we have a couple of performers.
Yes. Actually, tonight we are going to recognize the hard work and perseverance of 2 individuals who have taken a slightly different path to earning their graduation credentials. And I'm going to ask Ms. Oaks if you would come on down. I'm going to put you on the spot because one of the things that makes Salamanca unique is that we have the opportunity and the dedication to really focus on what's best for students. And we recognize that not all students follow the same path to get from point A to point B. And sometimes along those different paths, we have certain members of our staff that provide guidance. And Ms. Oaks is one of those individuals. And she's sort of one of those unsung heroes who does an awful lot of work behind the scenes and an awful lot of good things come out of what she does every day. And I just wanted to, would you mind just talk a little bit about the ASAP program that we have?
So the ASAP program we have is located at the River Street over at, we call it Warrior Academy. So right now we have, I would say about 13 or 14 students with a couple pending coming in and out of the program. So that program is for students who have not been able to go the path of high school. They're going into the path that they want to work or a different trade part of it. So they come to me, we work on their GED. They have, some of them have to take all 4 subjects testing, which would be your social studies, your science, your math, or your ELA. Some of them come in with already some of their Regents testing all done. So they get to pick and choose what test. If they only have to take math, they can just take the math part. So that's the best part of the program. If they've taken a Regents test, they're exempt from taking that part of the GAD test. So, and it's, I like to say the program we have over there is very, very individualized. I make sure I get to know every single one of my students that come to the classroom. And before we really dig in to start doing education with them, I really do get to know them. I want to know how they learn. I want them to know me because some of you might not know me. I have a different personality. So I like to have them get to know me and I get to know them. They also get to kind of pick their time they want to come. So I am there from 8 until 1:45. So they come to me at least 3 hours a day and they get to pick the time. So if they're not at 8 o'clock in the morning, people, they can come at 10:30 until 1:30 or whatever time they want to come. Another thing is, as we're talking about attendance, I have attendance problems also with young adults. So if they come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for their time, they get Friday off. So that has been kind of working for me, for especially this year has been really working first. So we do have a couple tonight, but I also have this week, we have at least 4 or 5 students taking their GED test. Just part of it, or they're gonna take all of them. So within the next few months, we'll have, I would say probably 4 or 5 other students by the end of the year get their GED. So it is not an easy program, and that is the first thing I let these kids know when they come in. It's about them, but of course, I'm telling them they're school moms, so I'll call them and tell them to get in. So, so it is a hard program, but we get through it.
You want to bring Marcus and Ethan down?
Marcus and Ethan, these students have worked hard with a couple obstacles, but we got them through this summer. So I have Marcus Roberson and Ethan Jimerson.
So I think it's really important to recognize, right, that this is really just a different path to get to the same point. Doesn't mean it's easier. Many times life gets in the way of what we think is where we're headed. And if it wasn't for programs like the one we have at Warrior Academy, and if it wasn't for people like Miss Oakes to sort of put some of those pieces together, and does she guilt you guys once in a while? Yeah. Right. When she was talking about how she likes to get to know the students and have the students get to know her, you know, there's many facets to that, but probably one of them is she knows how to get in touch with you, right? Yeah. Does she get in touch with you? Yes. Yeah, right. And like I said, does she use that relationship to get you to come in and do what you need to get done?
Yeah.
Right. And the real key here is that you did the work that you needed to do, and we want to recognize that because that's really important. And we believe that education is crucial to being successful in life moving forward, no matter what path you might take to get it. And we all want to congratulate you on this significant achievement. And we have a small token here that we present to people who do an outstanding job at something. There you go. And we also have one from the folks.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because without you, people like Marcus and Ethan wouldn't be here tonight and wouldn't have the opportunity to move forward.
Okay, well, thank you. And I do want to say, I'm not sure 100%, Ethan took the work related right now, right? Outside of school? Yeah. But Marcus is working on getting his ad stuff done and going into the military. He's been working with me and his mom is up there and Ethan's parents are up there. So I do want to say thank you to the parents too, because I've had to reach out to at least Marcus' parents a few times. So yeah, thank you for the support up there too. And
Next, we have our presentation on Jedi Justice at the University. Mr. Hubbard. Oh, sorry. Yours.
It's got this button.
You're probably gonna have to be over here to use it.
What?
You're probably have to be over here.
But that's not. That ruins the idea of the
Oh,
button.
you
Wait,
go.
no,
You got it. Your button.
Okay, wait. Wait, no,
You gonna back it up?
down is up. I don't like that. Anyway, here we go. Come on. You guys move. All right, so, one, thanks for letting me come and talking about this again. I think it was about 11 months ago, the last time I came in and presented about what we were doing on the high school Jedi committee. And now after that work, we got our plan. So I'm here today to talk about our comprehensive plan and how we can move forward with it. And again, I hit the button wrong. So really what this comes from is last year in the summer, I had a conversation with Dr. Beeler and we were discussing where we were with our DEI goals, DEI plan. So it was something that we'd worked on as a district for, I think, about 3 years at that time. And I was really curious just where we were going. And what we ended up landing on was to review and revamp and try to really create a more comprehensive plan that would be just holistic and affect the entire district. And the reason why I really wanted to take that on is because I saw what New York State was doing and how this was kind of coming down the pipe. So you'll be able to see right here that last year in August, there was a memo sent from the Attorney General's office that basically all school districts needed to have some type of DEI plan. And it wasn't necessarily something that was going to be required right then, but it was coming down the pipe. And that's very much how New York State Ed works. They also now have a NYSID Department of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And we can kind of see the steps that this is going to be something that all schools are going to have to do within a few years. And because there's a lot of work that I know in high school, but we've done throughout the district, when it comes to DEI, I thought that instead of waiting and being followers, I think that we should be more leaders in this field, because I think that in our district, we honestly already are, because we've done a lot of work. So when, there it is. So why the word Jedi instead of DEI? One, I am well aware that DEI is maybe the most controversial topic when it comes to education in the United States. And knowing people in that field, having conversations, I get to have the privilege of talking to a DEI professional like once every week, if I'm good about it, because she's my sister. She's got a PhD in this field, and she's one of the leaders in this. And she says, you know, really what you want to do is not head towards DEI, but head towards Jedi. Because what justice allows us to do is be a little bit more proactive and look at the systemic issues that have caused the problems that we're now seeing. Because really a lot of times when we're talking about these issues of anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, homophobia, racism, discrimination, we're actually looking at the effect. We're not really looking at the cause. And if you're just addressing the effects of things, it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole. You're never really hitting the core. So the justice element lets us hit the core of it. Because there we're talking about really examining the systems and trying to make them right from the bottom up. Then we get to the word equity, which most of the time people talk about equality, but here we really want to focus on equity. And the difference is that in equality, everybody gets the exact same thing, but with equity, we are meeting the people's needs. Everyone has different needs. So that's what equity is actually talking about. And what I really like here is how we discovered what we needed as far as equity. Those mostly came from the students. And I know, whoop, there we go. I know that this again is a review from last year, the exact same thing we talked about. Then diversity is the quantitative value of difference. So these are the numbers. This is the quantitative data. And that's important. It's important to have diversity in every single thing we do. It can be a real strength. But unless that diversity is supported with qualitative support, which is inclusion, then that diversity isn't going to last. There we're talking about, student retention. We're talking about staff retention as well. Just because you have the numbers, just because you have the diversity in your school and your staff in any workplace does not mean that it's a quality experience. And if those diverse individuals are having a quality of experience, they're going to bring out an even stronger performance, in my opinion. And I love this graphic. Board saw it last year, but for everybody that's looking, this is really what we're talking about. Instead of equality, everybody is blocked by that fence. Equity, we're allowing everyone a real level playing field, depending on their need. But justice, we're talking about the fence altogether. So equity is one of the first steps. Justice is, okay, now that we've addressed that problem, how are we going to make it so that isn't a problem anymore? That's what we're talking about. So how did we get to where we are now? We created a committee. The committee right now is myself. The committee that made this plan is myself, Judy Pickett, Alicia Alexander, Anthony Persons was part of it, and Becky Nannon. The reason we set up that team is all of them have background in DEI work. Some of them are part of the, I forget what university it's from, but they're part of a master's program right now that is DEI in math or science. Then we looked at the outside guidance and resources. Some of those are the state documents, things like that. Student input, we met with the students a number of times through the affinity groups. A holistic approach, which I'll talk about later. We drafted, then we had students review, then we had staffs review it, and we redrafted it. Honestly, we drafted it a couple times after multiple reviews from the staff and the students. And then I think it was last year in May, we met with Dr. Beeler, had him review the entire plan, and that's kind of how we landed here today. When we're looking at the guidance and resources, here we're not really looking to remake the wheel. People have already done this work. One of the best ones was Williamsville. That DEI plan it's a solid plan. But then we also looked at the culturally responsive sustaining education framework that came out from NYSET. A couple of different positions that address specific needs of our district. So when we're talking about the NCSS position on affirming Indigenous peoples and nations, contextualizing LGBTQ history in social studies, that also helped us really address how we would discuss and address LGBTQ students and staff needs in our curriculum and in our staff support. But then, of course, the guidance that we just looked at from the Attorney General. So the student input, this was really where the majority of the work was done. We met with student affinity groups as a whole, all of the high school groups together. We met with them 4 times last year. But then we had each individual group review our goals, met with them individually, having discussions about the goals and what the plan looks like. So really this was built from the ground up using the people that are going to be the beneficiaries of this plan. And then discussing this as a holistic plan. Like I talked about earlier with the whack-a-mole idea, when you're just addressing, you're addressing those effects. We wanted to not only make a justice-oriented plan, but also make sure that it's aligned, make sure that it's not just staff-centered. A lot of times when we talk about DEI, really what people are worried about is the curriculum and how the teacher is going to teach this, when really, if there's going to be buy-in to a plan for any school district, or I'm saying a workplace, everybody's got to be in. It's got to be the teachers and the students, but also the community members and all the faculty members as well. So it had to be this holistic approach. And this part right here, seeing Jedi as something that can be taught and cultivated instead of simply administered. A lot of the tension and the controversy that comes with DEI in our nation right now is it's a very top-down approach. It's you are going to do this. Instead, it can be something where we're really talking about what are these topics? What is racism? What is stereotypes? What is prejudice? But then really avoiding that accusatory language. Those uncomfortable conversations when it comes to race, ethnicity, sexuality, identity, they're uncomfortable and they're meant to be uncomfortable. That's really where we learn, is in that place of uncomfortability. But they're not meant to be so uncomfortable that people disengage from the conversation. That doesn't help anybody at all. And all teachers can tell you that, is you got to keep your students engaged. And the way that you don't do that is to make it accusatory. So this is not about calling anyone prejudiced or racist or privileged or anything like that. That's trying to really figure out the diversity, the differences that we all have, and the strengths that we all have. And the good thing about this plan is I see it as providing a foundation for the work that we're already doing. So this is just off of the top of our group's head last week when we were setting this up, of the work that we already do. So I haven't found another school that has a pride flag outside their doors every single day. It's rare that a school has a pride week. But the amount of affinity groups that we have, the fact that we have a Native American curriculum team and a nationally awarded Native American curriculum team. Right here, last year, we were actually highlighted as a district for the work that we're doing in DEI. So we're already doing so much in this. Now let's create the foundation so that we can approach it more holistically. So all of these things, we can see them triple. So these are the 8 area goals that our committee came up with. And we have created a justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion culture in the district based on consistent practices, create equitable and anti-discriminatory administrative practices and policies, increase family and community engagement, recruit and support diverse staff, incorporate JEDI into classroom curriculum, engage staff in JEDI professional development, elevate and support student voice, and support and celebrate student diversity. We're going to go through each one of those, but really you can break them down into 3 different groups. So here we have district and community, we have staff, faculty, and classrooms, and then we have, the part that was entirely generated by our students is that student voice and student diversity. So jumping into the specific goals here. Number 1, create a justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion culture in the district based on consistent practices. Now, I'm not going to read the entire thing there. I could. No one wants to listen to that. But I'm just going to highlight the main takeaways here. The point of the first goal is that it's holistic, it's going to take time, and it's changing culture. That is the most important work. If you're just addressing the problems constantly, and you're not really talking about the culture, the way that we live in our community, who we really are as Salamanca warriors, then you're not actually going to get much work done. So if we change the culture or elevate the good parts of the culture of this school and of this community, that's where the real strength is going to come from. And the way that we do that, we incorporate it in every single school. So right now we have a JEDI committee in the high school. The goal would be to get that in each school. And then to make it so we have a district level JEDI council. Committees would send a representative up to the district level council, make sure everyone is aligned, make sure that all the language is vertically or horizontally aligned, so everybody's on the same page. And that's just coming down to communication. This part right here, the district level council will identify and employ anti-racist and discriminatory strategies to be implemented by the district in order to prevent and respond to the negative impact racism and discrimination have on our students, staff, and community. That is looking at the entire district and saying, okay, where are our issues? How can we address those issues? But this goal is going to take longer. It's going to involve a lot of work, and it's everybody. But really, it's that first goal, because this is what we want to be the end product of all the work, is to change the culture of our school district. I love this picture. All right, but here, this is create equitable and anti-discriminatory administrative practices and policies. Here, what we're talking about is the Board of Education goal. So it's already in the Board of Education goals that we will be reviewing at least 6 district policies to ensure that they are equitable and non-discriminatory. Then also looking at the student code of conduct. I know that there's student code of conduct review every single year, so this is work that we're already doing. But then taking that lens, taking that Jedi lens, look through that as well. School level committees will examine the impact of implicit bias, systemic racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination in the actual code of conduct. Now, the next goal here is similar. The way that we kind of differentiate it there is goal C is coming up with ways to gather that data. Because right now, we don't necessarily have those methods of gathering and analyzing that data. And then what are we going to do with it? And how do we look at this data? Because like we talked about, diversity is that quantitative, it's those numbers. But inclusion is that quality, right? It's the actual lived experience. So we want to look at both and how those are both impacting our district. And then create a mechanism for student and family input. That's extremely important there. Then family community engagement. This is, this is extremely important, mainly because we want to make sure that each member of our community feels like they're a part of our district. One of the big responses that we got when we were doing the student affinity groups, doing that work, is that a lot of students don't feel like they have the support in the school because the school isn't necessarily able to connect with their family. Here, it could be something as simple as your family does not speak English, or your family has a different culture than the cultures that are the majority in this area. So there's a disconnect there. And we know that those disconnects between families and schools, that it really puts all the weight on the student's shoulders, and we don't want to do that. Also, what better way to make sure that we're a reflection of our community than to bring them in? Now, of course, this is something that we're already doing. One of my students 2 weeks ago, we were talking about what community is in our civics classroom, and he said Betts Park. I was like, how is that community? So he said, when I go to Betts Park, everybody is there. And that's what we're looking at. So this is work that we are already doing. We just want to highlight it and do it more. I'm talking too much. Where's going? Okay, then here, we continue with that goal, and really we're just talking about buy-in. We're already doing a lot of it, and this part right here, utilizing student support staff, liaisons, social workers, counselors, etc. This is work I can tell you at the high school that every time we have a discussion about our family school liaisons, there's a teacher in the crowd that says, I didn't know they did that. Every single time. Mr. Long might not know that, but I'm in the crowd, so I can hear that every time. I say, I don't know they did that. We need to utilize the tools that we already have here more in order to make that connection. Because those are the people that know these families, they know the community, and they're going to be able to provide that bridge so that we can really address the needs of our families as well as our students. And then right here, this two-way communication. I'm going to talk about it again because language barrier is really something that we don't necessarily have an answer for. And it's an area of need for a lot of our families. Then we get down to our fourth goal, which is to recruit and support a diverse faculty and staff. Here you want to do really two things. You want to make sure that the staff is a reflection of the community. So here, we're looking at keeping in contact with alumni and education field and partnering with the Seneca Nation to advance education as a career option for our Indigenous students. There, we're trying to keep it local because it's extremely important to make sure that our homegrown talent that graduate this school, that know this community, that were raised in this community, come back and take those gifts, take that education that we were a big part of building, come back and give it right back into the community. That's only gonna strengthen us. But what we also want to do is make sure that we are cultivating a diverse culture that's supportive of other staff. So yes, we want our staff to be a reflection of our community, but we also want to fill the needs of our students that are not necessarily within the community already. And what I mean there is, it's a good thing if a student comes to school and sees a teacher that does not look like them. That's a good thing. It's a great thing if a teacher can talk about experiences that they've had in life and a student can go, I never thought about it that way. I didn't know that perspective. That only makes our community stronger. And in order to do that and make sure that the diverse staff feel supported and that they stay, is to allow them to express themselves. Allow the staff to express all of their culture as well. This right here, building and district leadership will strengthen anti-discriminatory and anti-racist policies. Here, we're really talking about leadership training. Having the training for administration, but also all district leadership when it comes to anti-racism, LGBTQ issues, all these issues of identity is extremely important, not only for the relationship with students, but also the relationship with staff. And that leads me to part E right here. School level committee will be available to support any staff member with issues relating to inclusion and or discrimination in the district. This one, we kind of hesitated to add because we're thinking, is this actually the role of this committee? And to me, the answer is yes, because it's already happened. Since we started having these conversations last year and set up the committee, I can tell you 10 different incidences when staff has come to me talking about issues they've had of, either discrimination that they're witnessing amongst our students, from other members of the staff, or from members of the community. So these are things that are already happening. And what that allows them to do is have a place where they can talk about these issues. I've had a number of younger members of our staff say, Mr. Hubbard, this happened. I don't really know what it is or how I should talk about it. How would I do that? Because these issues of identity and race, they're sticky. They're hard to talk about. They make you uncomfortable. And when you have people talking about them that have a background in them, that really helps. No matter how you're having that conversation, if you know that you're supported in it, it's only going to make your staff culture stronger and better. Now we get to the curriculum. This is where the real meat of it is. Overall, we want to be both local to provide that reflection, but we also want to provide a different perspective for all of our students. So we're looking to expand our curriculum, examine all of it. It's kind of the way that I see civics. I'm constantly telling my students and my coworkers that civics can be everywhere. Civics can be in every subject. Jedi can be everywhere. Jedi can be in every subject. It doesn't just have to be social studies. It can be incorporated everywhere. And really what we're doing is we're just talking about diversity, talking about differences in the classroom. So right, where's mine? I don't think it's gonna work. Talking right here, A, curriculum will represent the stories and perspectives of African American, Hispanic, Latin American, Asian, Middle Eastern, Indigenous, and other global communities that are underrepresented in our own community. So there you're coming into the classroom and you're able to see the entire world. That's the experience that we want our students to have. There are so many times when especially when we go to DC, when I'll bring students to DC, and they'll look around because they have never seen something like that before. They've never seen that representation or just that diversity. It's important that, especially in our community, in a small community, that they can come to the classroom and really see what the world is, but also see a reflection of who they are. Representation really matters. And through the work that I saw done by some of my students last year, I really got to see how important representation is. The fact that we have one of our projects last year was, a student that was looking at media and said, I don't see myself reflected positively in any media. And she did a year-long project on it and, was able to really create a product that represented Black women in a more positive way in the school district and brought that here. Like, that's the work that we're talking about, that we should be doing in all of our classes. Where it's, how can we see the entire world, from our classroom? Oh, and by the way, and I can't skip it, this was made by now they're a freshman. No, now they're a sophomore. That was Rowan Brown that made that design. That's a really cool design. Probably gonna use it for this year's Pride Week, or yeah, this year's Pride Week in June, so make sure you order that shirt. Anyway, incorporate Jedi curriculum, or Jedi in the classroom curriculum, the second page of it. Here we're talking about school committees will provide guidance for including the diversity of our local community in the curriculum. So we said you're gonna get a bigger perspective when you enter the classroom. We also want you to have a reflection of local history. I can tell you as a social studies teacher, if you look through the New York State standards, not much of them talk about really emphasizing local history. This is work that we're already starting to do. Travis Happel, 11th grade US history. At the end of the year, they have to do a local history project. And that's work that we should be doing in every grade. Because in Salamanca, in Cattaraugus County, and just in Western New York, there's amazing things that have happened. And a lot of the cool things that we saw last year, it was students going, I didn't know that someone from Salamanca did that. That is massive, because just like we talked about of expanding that perspective and seeing the rest of the world, now you're getting that reflection back. If someone from Salamanca can be in the NFL, Chuck Chris, right? If someone from Salamanca can be in NASA, I can do the exact same thing. In order to do that, we need professional development. So, we really have a robust amount of professional development offered in this district. We already know that. I know that because everyone that I talk to on social media that's a teacher is constantly talking about how they don't get professional development in their district. We have a robust amount. Just make that even stronger by including Jedi work in it. What we'd really like to see is embedding Jedi 101 workshop in the new teacher academy. But in the first, I would say 2 years, try to make it so every single faculty member within the district goes through that Jedi 101 workshop. Have we developed it yet? No, but when we do, it's going to be fantastic. Now, right here, district leadership will ensure that all staff, that's everybody, engage in consistent, ongoing professional learning around fundamental Jedi concepts, all of these things. And really that's a good way of something that pops up, being able to address it and being comfortable talking about these things. Reason being, there's not a teacher in the district that's been here for a few years that hasn't had a conversation about LGBTQ issues, race, language, difference, poverty. These things are constantly being discussed by our students. And I have many coworkers who come up to me or come up to other people in the committee, come up to administrators and say, hey, how do I talk about this? How do I do this? That's why we need that ongoing, all right? And because it's really what we're talking about here is social studies, because people, it's constantly changing. I had Meredith Rees Isaac come up to me the other day and say, what we need to discuss is the upcoming election. Because even though it's something that's a little bit controversial, you could have a woman of color, for the first time elected to the presidency. And that's a great thing. But she goes back to when Obama was elected, we actually saw an uptick in racism towards the Black community. So could that be something that happens if Kamala Harris gets elected? Absolutely. So that's a way of us being proactive and saying, hey, if this was to happen, look out for this and know how to address it when it actually comes up. You're good. C right here is just ensuring that all the people on the school committees have additional training. Why? Because those are supposed to be the people that are really the experts in-house. So if there's any questions, they're the ones that staff is gonna go to. You know, in order to be the person to go to, you gotta have additional training, you gotta be a real expert in this field. That could be just as simple as book studies, you know, different conferences, but it's definitely something that we should have. Curriculum specific learning opportunities. Here it's simply because Jedi in high school global social studies, it is not going to be the same as Jedi in kindergarten. So how do we make sure that it is curriculum age, you know, grade level specific? And then this one right here is one of the most important. E, district leadership will seek out and make available professional learning opportunities to promote and foster student self-advocacy and activism. One of our standards is elevating student voice. I love that standard. But the way that we elevate student voice is teaching our teachers and our faculty and our administrators how to get them to do that. And really what that'll do is it gets our classrooms to become a reflection of what our country is supposed to be, right? An active, robust democracy that's civically engaged. That's how you do it. You get the staff to actually encourage that within their classrooms, and then you get that student input. And then once the students start being able to have those skills, we can elevate and support student voice. We already do a great job at this in the district, elevating and supporting student voice. I only want it to continue and to get bigger. We have these affinity groups, Indigenous Youth Coalition, Student Government, Student Council, GSA. We could keep going, but we want to not only continue to support those, but provide opportunities for there to be more. So like the Hispanic Student Union and the Black Student Union, those were groups that were started last year. We want those groups to be able to continue, but all of those groups that are on that are within the high school. We should also be pushing those down in the middle school and in the elementary schools. What that's doing is it's creating community and providing a space for students to have more elevated voice in their classrooms and in their school. And again, that just builds up the democracies that we're creating within the district. And I mean, this picture right here is an obvious example of it, but this picture right here, this was taken last year at the New York State Bar Association because we had 1, 2, 3 alumni present and they got to ask Justice Sotomayor questions. That's a massive opportunity. They were able to do that because they went to Salamanca. Building leaders will foster a culture of promoting student self-advocacy and activism. Really, that's talking about the process. So one of the great things that came from putting up the pride flag is that it created a structure, created a process of how we're going to do this. And it created a system that students can now follow, which is really civic engagement. Knowing who to go to when you have questions. Knowing how to do the work and how long that work is going to take. And that's only going to provide more opportunities for our students, you know, in the community, but when they get out of high school, when they graduate, they're going to be able to have these civic skills and become leaders. A lot of the students that put up the pride flag are now leaders in their colleges, you know, starting their own affinity groups. Some of them are activists on their college campuses. Why? Because they gained those skills here, those soft skills, those organizing skills. We only want to elevate that and continue it. And then this is the final goal right here. This was completely student generated down to the language. So support and celebrate student diversity. The district council will promote and support school and district-wide celebration of various cultures and identities, including spirit weeks, multicultural events, and celebrations. We already do a number of these, but we can do so much more. For example, right now, we're in Hispanic Heritage Month. Ms. Martinez asked me, first week of school, let's do something for Hispanic Heritage Month, even if it's, you know, just posters, just student work. I got an email from the principal of Dunkirk that they wanted to do that in their school and they wanted to use our material. Now, all that material was student generated, so we weren't able to give them any of the material. But just that right there, just something small that's posters, it makes a massive difference to our students. And it shows other districts what we're doing and shows them that we're leaders in this field. Awareness to holidays and culture events for marginalized and underrepresented people. Last year, we had a number of students that were observing Ramadan, and we had staff that did not know how to address their unique needs during that time. We're able to get out paperwork to do that. I've had students that come to me that say that we're still not doing enough when it comes to longhouse ceremonies and how to support students during that. That's something that is a big area of need that we have to address. Promote student diversity by encouraging and supporting culturally identifying, affirming dress and expression. Here, I've seen, and I tell almost everyone when I see it, I've seen a massive change over the last, I would say, 5 years. 5 years, you may see a ribbon skirt once or twice a year during Hip Week in the high school. Now, it's an everyday thing. This is something that our students are just wearing regularly. That's fantastic. It's an expression of culture. So we should be promoting that and doing that more. And then district will highlight underrepresented communities through the use of classroom hallway displays. That's a lot of what we were talking about earlier for Hispanic Heritage Month, but we also in the high school do one for Black History Month, or Pride Month. We're doing one right now for the election, where it's simply they're walking by and they're saying, oh, that's going on. And it catches their attention, makes them ask questions, has them do the research at home. And that's that constant learning, that constant feedback that we're looking for. So the benefits of all this, it's going to foster that sense of belonging and value for all members of our school, all of our students, all the people in our community, and our staff. Having the district-wide comprehensive plan is going to establish clear expectations so that, yes, we're already doing a lot of this work, but let's make it very straightforward, very clear as to what we're doing and how we want to do it. Getting rid of those barriers that are stopping us from being more equitable. That's that justice element, right? Enhance our understanding of the perspectives of our communities. So getting that community engagement. Exposing students to diverse perspectives. So again, really expanding that perspective while also providing a reflection for them, promoting critical thinking, preparing students to thrive in the increasingly diverse world. And this is the biggest one, fostering a sense of pride and appreciation for diversity among the student body. And this is the quote that I really like. The reason why we do all this, why it would help our student body, why it would promote more pride within Salamanca, is because diversity doesn't look like anyone, it looks like everyone. And when you do that, when you provide a reflection of people and you really promote the strengths of all the people in our community, our school, our district only gets better, only gets stronger. And if you have any questions, I can answer those too. All right.
Anyone have any questions?
Well, you covered it all.
Yep. Presentation. Thank you very much. We'll move on to communications. Public communications.
Here are a full small that requested to speak. And my name is Dawn Colbert. My daughter's name is Georgia Miller. She's an athlete. She's a junior this year and she plays on the volleyball team. I'm here, basically kind of ties right in with helping be the voice of the girls on our volleyball team. Every single one of the girls is struggling right now and is frustrated with the situation. They're not able to be here tonight because they have a game. I want to start with reading a little bit of a letter that came from some of the parents. We are writing as a group of concerned parents regarding the current state of the girls volleyball program at our school. Our observations have led us to believe that there are significant issues with the coaching and leadership provided by the volleyball coach. that are negatively impacting our athletes' experiences. Effective coaching is crucial for developing player skills, understanding game strategies, and fostering teamwork. Unfortunately, we have witnessed minimal instruction and support, leading to confusion among the girls and hindering their growth, resulting in a great deal of frustration and anger as this goes unaddressed. The girls, one example is they're being trained for one position and then they're thrown into another position. They're clueless out there and they're very embarrassed. As they've tried to communicate to the coach, we need more training, we need more coaching while we're in the game. We need to understand the position you're putting us in and so forth. They have felt that she has become very defensive and hasn't listened to them. 2 weeks ago, my daughter became so frustrated with this situation. She went in the locker room in the middle of the game and punched the locker. I would love to show you all the picture of her hand. Her knuckle was swollen up like that. We immediately took her to the ER. This is not like my daughter. She's very high functioning. She's able to communicate. And for her to do something like this really scared me. I definitely have her in counseling and we're trying to find better ways for her to manage this. But I have also worked with her on her attitude and to listen to the coach. And she, for the last month, has not talked back to the coach. She hasn't expressed her concerns. You know, like I said, she punched that locker because she's trying to hold it all in. She's trying to deal with this frustration. So Saturday they have a tournament. All the girls collectively tried to communicate to the coach. The two captains who are very experienced, have been on this team for a long time, took the lead. And they explained to the coach, you don't communicate to us. You bench us and we don't know why. Every single game, there are 2 to 3 girls on that team that are in tears. Some of it is during the game. Some of it is after the game. Georgia says the reason she punched that locker is, I didn't want to cry again, Mom. I didn't want to stand there and cry in front of everybody. That's embarrassing. I said, well, do you think getting angry and doing that helped? No, it didn't. But here she is again, Saturday, the girls are trying to talk to the coach. She gets very upset. The coach got defensive. She didn't listen to them. She said, we'll talk about this Monday. Well, the girls wanted to talk about it right then. They had time in between the games. So anyways, she comes back and she says, here's the lineup. There's no substitution. This is our last game and you're not in. So my daughter, she got signed out and she left. And the coach started yelling at her and she's like, if you leave right now, you're done. She said, I've been done. And honestly, I've never condoned quitting or walking away, but my daughter didn't punch the locker again. She didn't walk up to the coach and punch her like she wanted to. She just said, I need to get out of here right now. But every single girl on that volleyball team wanted to do the same thing my daughter did, but they didn't have the courage. So I'm just asking that you guys will look into this situation, that you will sit down and listen to these girls. Don't talk to the parents. We're angry. This is our children. You know, we got their backs and this mama bear instinct flares up. We'll do whatever we can. We have done what we can. There's parents that have written letters. They have gone and talked to the athletic director. They've talked to the superintendent. There's been conversations with the coaches. The assistant coach is amazing. He has listened to us and not one single person has an issue with the assistant coach. I know now that this is not my daughter being, you know, an attitude problem. This is a problem that every single person is experiencing. So I guess that's what I just want to ask, that this not be held against my daughter. Right now, there's threats that she's not going to be able to play a sport again for the rest of the year. That would be detrimental. I mean, she's had dreams of playing lacrosse in college, you know, and now they're saying you're not going to be able to play lacrosse this year because you quit volleyball. She would love to come back if there is some kind of remedy with the coaching or with all of this. I know we've talked about restorative practices. I think it's amazing the leaps and bounds that our school district has made, especially with restorative practices. And maybe that could be used in this situation, you know, with the whole volleyball team, with the leadership of the volleyball team. But just listen to the girls. That's all I'm asking. Just put them in a situation where they feel comfortable to express how they feel, because right now none of them do. Because they don't want to be benched. And they have learned if they speak up, they're put on the bench and they're not told why or what. So I guess that's what I'm here asking for your support in this issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Please, you know.
Okay, so I've been Googling a lot of information of how to address the athletic director, Chad Bartoza. I talked to Dr. Baylor, sat with him, tried to email him, but he hasn't responded. I wanted to know, I sent letters out to you guys, that, charging Chad Bartosek with against discrimination against female sports. It started from second week of school. My daughter comes back with her uniform, it's all ripped up. And I said, what? Why do you have a ripped up uniform? And she's like, oh, because they can't buy us any because we don't have any money. I go, that school has a lot of money. I said, if we can get the nation, we'll get the nation involved. We'll get you some, you need uniforms. Then somebody had missing AirPods. So that started a big stir with the JV team. So there was no proof where the AirPods were, who stole them. There was 2 girls that were targeted from what we heard, but they didn't see them take them out of their bag. And I said, wasn't the locker room locked? And she's like, no, we don't have locks. And I said, oh my God, 1985 is when I graduated and they still don't have locks in the locker room. And I was like, because everybody's got expensive stuff in there and they have to leave them in the locker room. So Dr. Baylor said they were working on getting locks. So I talked to Chad. He just does not come forward of what's really going on. And, I feel like I've been, like, oh, I said this and that's it. So you just got to deal with it according to Chad. So I went above Chad. I went to Dr. Baylor and then nothing came about it. I even talked to the JV coach and I said, I played Division I volleyball. I got 40 plus years of athletic experience. I can play everything. I can teach them. And I've been teaching my daughter on the weekends how to play volleyball the correct way. And she's been doing really well. But I can't teach everybody because I'm not the coach. I'm not the trainer. I'm not anything. And right now I can just do limited stuff because I had surgery. So, but with Mariah, I'm going to do the best I can for her. I'm her only support in this school. And then now we have other parents that are supporting now because they're supportive of what's going on with the JV and varsity volleyball. So during the time when the AirPods were missing, the kids got threatened. Adam Bennett came out and says, I'm going to call the cops on you. Another threat. None of the parents were notified. Nobody told us anything. Oh, now the girls can't be in the locker room. Nobody told us that they couldn't be in the locker room. No parents were notified. I called Chad and Dr. Baylor. I want this in writing. Everything in writing because if those girls, if Maya goes into the locker room, it's in writing. I can see it like, don't go in the locker room because I guess apparently you're going to get suspended. So there's nothing in writing. So most of the girls are natives on this team. About 100% they're either Seneca or other natives. They're other natives. And so I don't know why the coaches are being so, if they feel intimidated, that they don't know anything. Just watching the game. I know everything about volleyball and I'm just like, the rotation's wrong. There's always missed points because the coach forgets who's in line, who's next to serve. So my daughter was next to serve, and I'm yelling, no, it's Malaya's turn. And she said, no, it's Anaya's turn. And parents are yelling at her. I'm like, no. And it was game point. The other girl went and served. Malaya missed her serve because it was, missed. And so she was mad. And she's like, I don't want to play anymore. She doesn't know what she's doing. And I said, well, we'll talk and see if we can get this, figured out. And so I've been going from since second week of school. We're still going. If we didn't go talk to Dr. Beeler, they would have still probably been like not able to, dress in the locker rooms. They were told they had to dress on the bus. And you got a bunch of girls dressing on the bus. And I'm like, what is this? And then, so I told Chad, I said, I don't appreciate that. I said, my daughter is being discriminated against. This is discrimination. I talked to other parents. They're all saying this is discrimination. So I wrote that letter. I went through all the process of trying to get this figured out. And there's still nothing done. I went to the JV class, offered help. She said, no, I got it. Another friend went over there, offered help because she's played volleyball also. No, I don't want any of your help. She dismissed us. So, and I'm like, well, your rotation's wrong. Your girls don't know how to dig. Your girls don't know how to, there's so many drills on YouTube. I told her, just look, And she tells me, oh, I did watch the last team play. I see how you were rotating. Like, she has no clue. She has no clue what she's doing. So I watched the varsity just to see what was going on there. And I feel so bad for them. They're worse than the JV. I feel so bad because the way she has been rotating, they can't get there quick enough. There's a lot, so there's a miss point there. She has them all confused because the way she rotates the girls is so confusing. Like, it's not just plain and simple, make sure you put the girls where they need to be so they're not running across the court and they miss a point. And I was telling, Barbara Hill, and Gloria Costa, like, how the varsity, their setup is just totally wrong. And when I watch the actions of the varsity coach, she says nothing. She just sits there with a clipboard and she just stands there. And these poor girls are struggling. So then we got this nasty little email from Chad Bartoza stating that somebody had said something terrible to one of the other girls on the team, from the JV team. And I didn't hear anything. I was sitting at the bottom. I could hear everybody talking. They were mostly yelling at the coach, like, get your act together. Do what you're supposed to be doing out there. And so he stated that the girls are crying after the game. He was talking about the varsity team. They're crying all the time. My daughter had to ride the bus back from Cat Little Valley the other day. And she said, all of them just fell apart. They cried. One of the girls went running into the bathroom. She just left the game because she was so upset. And she stayed in there for a little bit. And I said, it's not JV that's crying, it's varsity. They're crying every day. They're all crying. But we're gonna keep supporting this coach against 12 girls that know what they're doing. They need to be coached. And there's nothing in the news about how many digs they had, how many aces they had, how many serves they had, There's nothing about our girls at all. There's no videos, there's nothing. So our girls are like nothing right now. They're just like treated so horribly. So that's why I wrote that. I asked Chad, I go, can we get a better coach? I asked Dr. Peter, can we get help for these coaches? Something. And I even went to Lakeshore. I talked to Lakeshore. I talked to Gowanda. They're like, that's discrimination. So I guess should we try with discrimination against female sports? And I said, and my daughter got offered to go to Lakeshore. So I said, well, if I can get her out here, I will take her to Lakeshore. She will be treated fairly.
We were at a tournament recently, Gowanda volleyball program is amazing. They hired the JCC coach and she took JCC really far. They were very successful. And now they have her coaching the Gowanda girls. And it's just so neat to watch that. They're getting the actual coaching in the moment on the court and the team is just working together. And it's like, that would be amazing to have a coach at that level that knew what they were doing to help these girls. That's all they want.
So we're never opposed to getting extra help for the kids. We put in place a long time ago, a process where if a coach needs help, we've done it with several of our programs that you can come to the board and ask for a position. We're there to listen. We can't talk about personnel unless it's an executive session, but we do understand your concerns and we are working on it. One thing we don't want to do is ever deter kids from playing sports because not that sports is the end all, but that if kids are in sports, a lot of times they're engaged and they want to come to school and they do better. It is something that we're looking at and it's something that we will have an executive session on because we want to go through everything and address the concerns. We will also make sure we set up a meeting to talk to the girls and make sure that their concerns are heard too, because we don't want them to feel that they're not being heard. You'll hear me say from different times, yeah, we're doing a lot of good things and we love to boast about the good things that we're doing, but if there are bad things, we need to hear about that too, so that we can get it fixed. And that's what we will do, is get things fixed.
And with the previous presenter, we would, like, that's what what the 4 parents that wanted to talk to Dr. Beeler, that's what we were bringing up, like, that was right on point of what we need in this school. Just so that everyone, like the school, faculty, and everyone is on board, like our neighborhood, our Hispanic.
Right,
And it's just like, if there's no support here, no child is gonna talk to anybody.
right.
So like I was stating, like when I was in the hospital for 2 months, nobody supported Malaya, nobody checked up on her, nobody did anything. She was failing. She had a 50. She couldn't play lacrosse because nobody would help her. And I said, what is going on? And Malaya kept saying, and she probably broke down and says, nobody's helping me. And she missed school because she was so sick. And she started crying. She goes, I can't do it. I can't do the work because she was at advanced classes. And so missing that 1 week really put her behind. And I said, isn't there anyone, like, there was no Title VI involved, no support from the Native American programs. So I had to call Nancy. She's my always to go person. And she got Pat Galante on it, and boom, she was like back up in the 90s and no problem. And I was just like, what the heck, how can they just let our Native children, we have all these programs you say here at Salamanca, but you're not supporting our kids whatsoever when they're failing in the 40s and 50s, nobody, like, I know a lot of parents haven't been involved, and I feel like to the teachers, if they find out the parent is not involved, then they don't care. But when you start getting on them, the teacher, then they're like, oh, I better get going, because I had to tell the English teacher, she was horrible. She's a horrible teacher to let her fail. And I said, how dare you let my child fail? And I said, I'm laying on my back in the hospital and I can't be there for her. And so then she understood, like, then she was like, oh, like, I need to help you, And I said, if we got parents out there that can't help their children because of illnesses or they just can't, I said, we shouldn't let these kids suffer like that.
Well, you should have a family support worker. Have you never been reached or contacted for a family support liaison?
I don't do liaison. I told you why. I don't do liaison.
But that is one of those.
That's a
ways
personal
of-
problem right
Yeah.
there, so
Okay,
that's personal. So that's, I mean, even if you didn't have a liaison, and you shouldn't really like trust that liaison because maybe, they're not gonna be, maybe they got too many kids, and how are they gonna reach out to all the kids? But I'm just saying, like, the school itself should trust, shouldn't have to rely on the liaisons, like the teacher should say,
well,
your child is failing, here's the problem.
I
And
get
there was,
that.
I emailed her, like, is my, I gave her my email. Shawnee got a hold of her, her sister, trying to help out, just make sure she was in touch with everything, because we didn't know how Malaya felt because I was sick. We didn't know how she was feeling, if she was sad or what was wrong, but she really went down to, after I went into the hospital.
Yeah, the teachers are definitely, we would hope that they would be reaching out, especially if kids are going down a bad path. I forgot about the liaison, but one of the reasons we do have them is to help bridge that gap between parents and teachers to help give the kids support.
Well, I talked to other Native American, some of them don't use them because of those, there's problems and within the liaison program.
But that doesn't mean that we can't come up with other solutions.
Yeah, there
either,
should be other
right?
solutions for it. Like I said, Title
Yeah.
VI wasn't there, Title VI, I talked to Title VI and I said, what do you guys do? Actually, and, they couldn't really come up with it, except they have liaisons, but I'm like, well, what do you guys do anyways,
Yeah,
Cause like when we had Title IV, we had the best programs. And I was in, like maybe a sophomore, junior in school, and we had a great program. And our Title IV person was always on us, like, what do you guys want to do? Are you guys doing okay? They made sure we were just, we were okay in school. Now at Title VI, it's just like, you know, I went to one of the meetings and they're talking about stuff that is here and you're sending people way out for conferences. And we got that problem right here. Go talk to me. I got generational problems.
Right.
You know, all of us do, but it's just like, nobody, the conferences that they should be planning is right here. You know, have a conference here. Bring us all in, bring in all the Native parents.
Well, I appreciate you speaking, bringing the concerns up, because again, we don't know about it, we can't address it, but once we know about, then we can come up with a plan and try to help address things.
Yeah, like I said, I went through everything, like doctor, went to athletic director, went to Dr. Beeler, gave you guys all of the letters. And I go, I got a petition against Chad Kozik right now. So we got parents signed it.
There's a couple other parents too that are trying to start petitions and writing letters, and I just hope we can resolve it.
Yeah.
Before we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
and
said, we can't talk about personnel, no concession.
Right, it's just like, but my problem was what I did was every step
Right.
that was made possible. And then I will go further on if I have to. I will find more information. I'll keep going until this is resolved.
President Ray, can I request executive session at the end of the agenda? For purposes of personnel discussions?
Yeah.
Modify the agenda.
To make a motion at the end to, modify the agenda and then make a motion to add.
Okay.
Thank you guys so
Thank you,
much for
guys.
listening.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Say it as a amend the agenda.
Okay. And we will move on to central office message. We can start with Karen, and start with you.
Two days now, but, Sandy, this Thursday and next Thursday, right? The health fair? Wellness fairs. So with wellness fair, I woke you up. There's wellness fairs, this Thursday and next Thursday that will be giving out vegetables, as part of that. So, in the evening when parents come in for the health and wellness stuff, for those things, both the buildings will be there. Other than that, Don is in Texas this week for his Japan fellowship thing, and he got an email from the fellowship, it was Thursday of last week, asking if it would be okay if they came up and filmed him and our program, because they are so impressed with what's happening and how our John's Capstone project used to incorporate indigenous foods into the cafeteria. And they're so enthralled with that they want to come up in video and interview him and get sent out and stuff. And I said, of course, come on up. So that's pretty cool. Ronder's got transportation, Ron and Roland, we're still short bus drivers, so anybody that wants to drive bus, I'm still a whole driver. And facilities is working away, keeping the places clean and. Okay. How about them?
Sure. So tonight you're going to see the assessment plan on the agenda, and I just wanted to update you that the plan provides teachers with the critical data that they need to personalize the instruction and target interventions. I want to thank Marcy Brown, our instructional coaches, and of course the teachers and principals for the work they put into the plan. Marcy started this work during her internship, which helped lay the foundation. We were able to pick up where we left off and roll that out. The plan directly supports our goal of making students smarter by ensuring that every student gets the support that they need. And it's a district-wide plan and expectation for teachers in pre-K to 12. In addition to assessments, we've been focusing on the attendance of the family engagement. So I just want to thank Chris to do that, and Steve Brundage, and of course our school services counselors, and family school liaisons, and everyone else that's involved in improving the attendance of family engagement. We've been working out new initiatives, reward programs, and celebrations. Our partnership. Thank you. And something really awesome that's happening at Seneca School is our family math night every Wednesday from 5 to 6. I want to thank Erin, Anastasia, and the Seneca School teachers for their efforts in doing this. They bring in families, parents go in one room and learn math lessons, and students go in another room and get an additional hour of practice on math. So that's really great. It has been received well. We've had approximately 14 families attend at one point. September 27th, we had our Every Child Matters Assembly, so that went really well. It was so fun to see all the kids participating. They were truly engaged in embracing the culture. And just a reminder that Thursday, October 10th, will be the Seneca and High School Open House. Prospects will be next Thursday, the 17th, and then open house, we'll have our annual wellness fair in the gym that Karen was alluding to with the food and various vendors. So thank you to Chris Morrison for facilitating this. And last but not least, EDEP rolled out this week. Lots of extended day learning opportunities as well as power hours. And just a thank you to the transportation department for getting those kids up to their bus run.
All right. Thank you very much. And we will move on to the board message. Christian, I'd like to start with you.
All righty, yeah, thank you, Kira. It's good to see everyone here tonight. Thank you to our presenters and some very well put together and informative messages there. Yeah, it was good. Seemed like a good past weekend with homecoming. It seemed like that was a big hit, and obviously the football team had a very successful night. And I hope everybody's having a good start to the year. Thank you for everyone's commitment and service to our students and our families. And yeah, I just would like to thank our speakers for coming out tonight as well. And that's kind of it. Just keep it moving tonight.
All right. Tracy?
I'm not really gonna say too much because I'm kind of raspy. And I'll probably get a dry spot and start coughing. So, but thank you to everybody. Thank you for everything that you do. That's it.
Tad?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Ms. Bieber, welcome to your first meeting here in your new position. Glad to have you there. The weather's changing. The sports are all in full run. It's good to do all that. And just wanted to say a little thing because I got to participate in it during halftime of the football game. Just want to thank everybody that helped out organize the kindergarten run. The kids had a hit. The parents, I think, were pretty entertained too. So I mean, it was a nice little event in the middle of the game. But everybody enjoyed it.
Brad?
Thank you to the presenters and congratulations to the recent GED recipients and welcome to. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the presenters and the parents that showed up to speak tonight. Justin, keep up the good work. He's doing great. Thank you very much. I also like to congratulate our two graduates tonight. I spent my whole career in exceptional alternative education, so I know how important those kinds of programs are. Not everybody reaches point A to point B, like Mark says. In the same way, sometimes the path kind of looks like this, but congrats to them. And thanks to all the students that stuck around. I know it's a long meeting, so we apologize for that, but you have to pick better meetings to come to. So that's all I have. Thanks.
I'll keep it short. I just want to thank all of our staff, everybody for everything you're doing. Get our kids moving. I know we passed the halfway mark of the first working period, but good job to everybody. Keep up the hard work, and to our students, do your best. Keep trying hard every single day. That's it. Thank you.
I just want to welcome everyone tonight, coming out. And thank you to all the presenters. It is really great when we get to hear and see different things that are going on that, I don't have any kids in school anymore, so, sometimes you lose track of all the different things that we have. So it's really great to hear and to see, and to the two students that did get their GED. It is tough sometimes for for life sometimes gets in that way. It does take you longer, but the fact that they actually stuck with it and showed up and persevered to get to where they wanted to be is really important. And it should be a lesson we all really sit back and look at and say, doesn't matter how tough things get, if you want it bad enough and you stick with it, you can do it. So congratulations to them. And for the parent concerns, you know, we always like to speak about all the great things we're doing, and we are doing a lot of great things. But it doesn't mean we do everything great all the time. And when we don't, we need to be called on it. And when we're called on it, that's when it's up to this group here to sit back and evaluate what's going on and to see how we can intervene to make changes for the better. Of course, we have perspective from just a couple, so we need to always listen to everything and get input from everybody, which I hope everyone out there realizes that we do. We address concerns, we want to talk about concerns, and we want to take action that benefits our students. And hopefully that will satisfy the parents in the community. So rest assured that if you do have a concern, we do want to hear it. We might not like hearing it, but we want to hear it because that's the only way that we're going to get better. So I just want to state that. And I'll turn it over to Dr.
All right, well, that's been set up here at the table. So far, I want to draw our attention to an upcoming event about a month away, which is our Key Club Thanksgiving Community Dinner, which will be on November 18th. I also just want to acknowledge and thank the presenters. Hopefully we notice each, well, with the exception of our audit one, each one of the presentations focused directly on one of our board goals, from making kids smarter to community engagement and JEDI. Next month, we will be hearing from our school leaders and possibly some of our teachers as well about where we are with regard to data. So when we met over the summer, we said every 6 weeks we will have hard numbers presented to us. And the last goal that will be presented will be attendance next month. That will be included as well as some of our academic measures that we will continuously look at every 6 weeks, which will focus on improving things across the board. Other than that, as Mr. John mentioned, we are beyond the halfway point already for the first quarter. Seems like just yesterday that we started school, and we're already well into the first quarter. So things are going exceptionally well, and special thank you out to all of our teachers who work every day with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will move on to our consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Dale, seconded by Brad. Second by Brad. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was flipping pages.
Motion by Dale, second by Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question on the minutes from Monday, September 16th. It notes that we reconvened regular session at 6:17 PM. Shouldn't it be 9:17?
Yes.
Nine 17, yeah, 9:17, I'll put 70.
Other changes? We got a motion by Dale, second by Brad, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. We have no old business. Under new business, we have a consulting agreement for Tech Edge LLC that will run from October 1st, 2024 to June 30th of 2025. So we need a motion to approve the Edge consulting agreement.
Motion.
Motion by Christian,
Second?
second by Tracy. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Dr. Mueller, can you give us a brief summary?
Sure. Tech Edge is the organization that we utilize to make modifications and improvements to our student management system, which we typically refer to as Power Tool. We have a significant number of customizations that we essentially have built, and those allow us to more accurately track student data, more efficiently get that data out of the student management system for some of the custom reporting that we have to do, given our location.
Any other questions? All right. Then we have a motion by Christian, second by Tracy, all in favor? Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item B is a change order, and allowance, disbursement. So we have an allowance, distribution for William Spader of $8,692 that we need, an approval for. So we need a motion to approve that allowance disbursement.
Motion.
Motion by Dale, second by Carrie. Are there any questions?
Related to this. So are we building a press box on the softball field?
Or there will be a press box. It's being, it's a prefab one.
No, we will have a press box.
Oh, we will have a press box, yes.
And
I think it wasn't,
And
I just
lights.
wanted to be
And
careful about whether we were building it or not. There will be a press box there. It's similar to the one that we have. I don't want to say it's similar, it's in nature to the one that's,
So was that pre-approved or was that part of the change orders? Because I thought in the original documents, that was an option and add alternate.
If I remember correctly, that alternate pending bids coming in, and the bids came in under, so we had it.
Okay.
I would bet my life on it, but I think it's pretty close. Yeah.
I do have news on this though, that project specifically with relation to the press box, has been moved up timeframe wise drastically. We, at our last meeting, we were told that the press box would not be installed until July, which we can survive without a press box, except that's where all the electrical gets pulled into. So that would have meant no lights, no scoreboard, nothing for the spring. So we pressed that hard, but we asked Lakeshore, the holdup where was the pad for it and the risers or bleachers could not be poured until the spring. But with the good weather and the cooperation of Lakeshore, they're gonna pour that in the fall, which means we can up the pace on that drastically. And likely have it available for spring use.
Awesome.
All right, well, we have a motion by Dale, second by Carrie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item C, we have some items to declare surplus. Items, 1 through 9 here. And we need a motion to declare those items surplus.
Motion.
Motion by Tracy,
Second.
second by Tad. Are there any questions on any of the items? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item D is our budget development calendar for 25-26. So we need a motion to approve the budget development calendar.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Brad, second by Carrie. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item E, we are creating some positions, substitute keyboard specialist, substitute food service, teacher aide, a couple teacher aides. And then we have a revised New York food and New York family positions from May 1st, 23 through June 30th of 25. So we have a grant coordinator, educator, and a couple food service helpers. So we need a motion to create the positions.
Motion.
Motion by Dale.
Second.
Second by Carrie. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item F is our district professional learning plan. And that is for 24-25. The development plan statement of certification part 100 regulations of the New York State Commission of Education. So we need that document approved. So please make a motion to approve the district professional learning plan.
Motion.
Motion by Tracy,
Second.
second by Kristen. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Item G is our district-wide safety plan and remote instruction plan. We need a motion, to approve both the district-wide safety plan and the remote inspection plan.
Motion.
Motion by Ted,
Second.
second by Brad. We have any questions on either of the plans?
Just an observation. On the list of safety, committee staff members or safety team members, there's some things that need to be changed. So you might want to take a look at
We'll get
that.
on that.
Okay,
Okay,
because I know it's, it'll constantly be updated throughout the year.
Right.
as things
Yep,
change.
no, thank you for that.
Okay.
yeah. We have a motion by Tad, second by Brad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carried. Item H is our acceptance of our fiscal year 24 audit. We need a motion to approve the 23-24 audit that was performed by Lumpson and McCormick.
Motion.
Motion by Christian,
Second.
second by Tad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item I is our assessment plan for 24, which adopts the Salamanca City Central School District Assessment Plan attached that we all reviewed. We need a motion to approve that plan.
Motion.
Motion by Dale,
Second.
second by Christian. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Item 8 is our personnel consent agenda. Just fill that in. Item B, we need a motion to approve all the personnel in item 8A.
Motion.
Motion by Tracy,
Second.
second by Tad. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Do we have any staff here?
I think our group has thinned out a bit. Even our AI, note translator has quit on us.
Can I share something?
Please, absolutely.
So we did have Jenna Ball was on the Zoom call and she had to step out. But I just wanted to recognize her real quick. She is a Salamanca graduate. She moved away. She'll be appointed as an elementary teacher, focusing in first grade. And she moved away. She went to the Cleveland area, was teaching in school in Cleveland. She was teaching kindergarten. But what I'd like to share on her behalf is she obviously wowed us throughout the interview process, but she's so excited to come back to the community and make an impact in our building, obviously, but the whole entire school district and the community. And she wanted to express that there have been so many educators that have made such a profound impact on her, and that really resonated with us, that she's so thrilled to be back and to impact our kids. So I wanted to share that.
Congratulations to her.
Yes.
Can we fight over Steve or are you gonna talk about Steve?
This one is-
All right,
Great.
fine.
All right, wonderful. So I am going to get to introduce Steve Brundage, which everyone knows. Over the past year, I've had the pleasure of working with and observing Steve as he stepped into his role as the attendance officer. His relationship building with students has been amazing, and with staff has been even larger than life. To a point where personal stories that were shared were students that he had to come down hard on a little bit with some absences. They ended up being those same students that invited him to their graduation, saying, if it wasn't for you being on my case, I wouldn't have graduated and I wouldn't be here. So to me, that's a testament of Steve and the work that he's doing, his willingness to ask questions, reach out to others, attend conferences and bring back information. And right now, streamlining some of our things so everyone has access, but everyone doesn't have to duplicate the work they're doing has been outstanding. So our goal is to find him a Mr. Incredible costume, because as the attendance officer of the building, he is Mr. Incredible. So thank you, Steve.
You're much better off.
Andy's reading.
I just want to say, it's really great that, like, we have people that are coming back to help make our school better. Like you mentioned, Jenna's coming back. She graduated with one of my daughters. Steve came back to Salamanca. after going out into the real world for a while. Not that we're not the real world, but just that the community members are willing to come back and really want to invest in the school to help make it a better place. And I'm glad to hear that some of our former students are coming back to be teachers here, because that's one of our goals, is really to make our community stronger. So very exciting, I think. Item 9 is our board information and reports. We have couple transfer, Andrew Cornell is going from high school music teacher to Prospect Elementary. We have our Indigenous Education meeting minutes, from 9/11, our enrollment as of October 1st, our transportation report, and then we have our first reading of policies 5630, 6140, 7350, 7420, 7513, 7521, and 2340. We'll get them all.
Yes, but cancel my, thing down here, that's your notes.
Oh,
Don't say, don't ask to approve,
no,
because it's
no,
only the
I-
first reading.
yeah,
Sorry,
I'm not, I
forgot to take that up there.
Okay. Again, our upcoming events, tomorrow we have our Indigenous Education Committee meeting, here at 4 p.m. October 10th is, as we said before, open house for Seneca and the high school. October 14th is Indigenous Peoples' Day, so no school and no school on the 15th, for students. Independence Day, so a little bit of a nice long weekend. And then October 17th is the Prospect Elementary open house. And then the NISBA conference, the 19th through the 22nd. We do need a motion to amend the agenda.
Well, before that, I had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So on the enrollment, Dr. Mueller, what is grade level -2?
I can explain it if you want.
Fire away.
All right, because we service students all the way down to the age of 3. Those students are serviced through our Committee of Preschool Special Education. So in the state, -2 would be 3-year-olds, -1 is 4-year-olds, 0 is 5-year-olds, and then it continues from there.
Thank you, Dr. Mueller.
You like how he threw his voice? Okay, so we need a motion to amend the. What, did I miss something?
No, I did. I just wanted to acknowledge that, we did appoint Karen to the, principal,
Yeah.
interim principal position. It seems like she's been the principal there for a long time, so I just sort of over. I know. So it's totally my oversight, but we wanted to congratulate you on that. We look forward to working with you as we, go through the process. Thank you.
Yes. With that, is there anyone else that we might have missed? Okay, so we need a motion to amend the agenda to add an executive session.
Second.
Motion by Carrie, second by Christian, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carried. Now we need a motion to go into executive session. Motion by Carrie.
Second.
Personnel, for the purpose of personnel. Motion by Carrie, second by Gail. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carried. Thank you everyone for attending.
Uh,
We don't anticipate any.